You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I am back. Road Transfer Black and White Sports. If you're new to the channel, punch subscribe, like, comment. Let me know what you think about this. There were a lot of oustings yesterday from the mothership at ESPN, and a lot of them were pretty surprising. Some of them we sort of had a feeling we knew was coming. There were very few personalities over at ESPN anybody wanted to watch anyway. But one of the actual rising stars and one of the best on-air talents that they had developed was David Pollock, former University of Georgia Bulldogs superstar that, of course, was a college football analyst and a part of really their last successful in-studio show. And that's College Gameday. College Football Gameday, of course. Lee Corso, Herb Street, and the guys. And Pollock was a big part of the ratings increase for that show. Well, as part of ESPN's Red Wedding, they have fired David Pollock in a move that is just baffling. And this has gotten so ugly that Pat McAfee has had to make a statement because, as you can imagine, Pat McAfee got paid a lot of money to bring his YouTube show over to ESPN. A lot of people are looking at that money. A lot of people are looking at Stephen A. Smith's money. And you realize you got two on-air talents that essentially is making $25 million. A lot of these folks, we're only making, say, $2 million. Some estimates are saying they cut around $30 million in salary yesterday. Now, why is all this happening? Well, it's because ESPN has wrapped its loving arms around wokeness, radical political ideologies, the alphabet mob. They have embraced all of that because, well, their actual parent company is Disney, and we know what kind of a social shit show that's turned out to be. So let's get to this. David Pollock, it's just baffling. There's been a lot of baffling moves over the years from ESPN. Trey Wingo, Mike Golick, Kenny Mayne, names that were like, what are you doing exactly? You don't have a deep roster. You don't have a deep roster of entities that people want to consume. Pat McAfee, arguably, yeah, one of those entities, but a lot of people will not follow Pat over. And we'll get to a comment from somebody on Pat's comment that sort of sums up why people won't follow Pat over to his show. And it's because of Disney. Plain and simple. Outkick. David Pollock is the latest casualty in ESPN's mass cost-cutting layoffs, and he's one of the most surprising. The former star linebacker for the Georgia Bulldogs, Pollock, joined ESPN as a college football analyst. In 2009, he earned a spot on the network's College Gameday team in 2011. ESPN's College Gameday is the most watched sports news and studio show on cable and college football's most watched pregame show. In 2022, Gameday recorded the most watched regular season in the program's 36-year history. There's Pollock alongside old Lee Corso. According to ESPN, the traveling college football pregame show averaged 2.1 million viewers last season. That's a lot, folks. And increased in viewership in all key demographics. It saw an overall 8% increase across all viewers, and female viewership alone rose by 10%. And David Pollock's energy and expertise was part of the success, which is why college football fans across social media were stunned by the news. There's Hookstead. ESPN firing David Pollock is an insane decision. Firing anyone involved with College Gameday is unbelievably stupid. It's the one part of ESPN that works every single time it's on TV. Pollock will land on his feet. I suspect he'll go to Fox Sports. That's just my feeling. Great dude, but this makes no sense. By the way, if he does, that's going to make that big noon show on Fox Sports much, much better. I don't know what David Pollock's compensation was at ESPN, but I sure would have loved for Pat McAfee's deal to have been fractionally less in order to save him. And we'll get to that because a lot of people crushed Pat McAfee yesterday. And we're not going to look at all the comments around Pat McAfee getting crushed. But, wow, ESPN has made some silly decisions today, that's for sure. David Pollock is one of the best in the business. His college football knowledge and the way he breaks down the game on TV is phenomenal. To me, he was one of the best parts of College Game Day. Saturdays won't be the same without David Pollock. ESPN has lost their minds. In David Pollock's last appearance on College Football Set, he looked at Nick Saban in the eye and told him Georgia had taken over college football like a boss. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, but I get his point. But he's a Georgia alum. The 2022 College Game Day season also saw the addition of Pat McAfee to the panel. And earlier this year, ESPN signed the Pat McAfee Show to a 5-year contract worth up to $85 million. Potentially, they could keep McAfee on the game day desk. I think they pretty much have to. So they don't have to replace Pollock. But the dynamic will change regardless. Last season, Game Day outpaced its competition, namely Fox's Big Noon Kickoff, by 70%. But the competition is growing in 2023. NBC begins its Big Ten coverage, and rumor has it NBC is looking to send its pregame studio show on the road as well. Wow. David Pollock would be a massive get for NBC trying to put together a pregame college show. Of course, Pollock's axing is just part of ESPN's parent company Disney's cost-cutting strategies. All right, so I brought up Pat McAfee. He issued this statement yesterday. I mean, look, dude, you basically got $15 million a year. Yeah, a lot of people are going to have some things to say, and we can just start this out. A lot of people, it turned pretty ugly on Pat McAfee yesterday. A lot of people were giving credit to Pat McAfee for issuing this statement. This is the comment I took note of. And, of course, the wokes are losing their minds over this comment, but we'll look at it. Congrats. You're part of the Walt Disney groomers. Pride-loving at ESPN can't define a woman's so-called, quote, diversity network. Enjoy it. Hashtag big mouth sellout. One could argue, hey, Pat seems like a great guy. His show was great. But that is a reflection of how a lot of people that loved his show feels about him going to ESPN. Built on Stone, I did a lot of reflecting about our show's journey while I was getting murdered on the internet today. Hell yeah. At least he owns the fact that he knows he's getting drugged for this move. All roads lead back to how honored I am to be a leader of such a talented group and how lucky I am to be part of this team. A few missing from picks and a couple I couldn't tag. We do our things. We enjoy ourselves. And we never blink. Basement, box truck, work stoppage, you name it, the show rolls on. We're very pumped to be joining ESPN, and our goal is that, quote, mass exits are never a thing again. I don't know how, Pat, as long as Disney wraps its loving arms around the ideologies that people don't want to give Disney their eyeballs. That's the problem. We hope to help that. Obviously, that's a lofty goal, but that's how I truly look at life. I wish we could have worked alongside a lot of the folks that got released today, some absolute legends that we all respect in the sports media world. We're trending today for losing jobs. That sucks, no matter how you slice it. We're going to continue to control the things we can control, try to do daily sports coverage in an entertaining, informative fashion, and be thankful for all the opportunities that have been earned through a lot of hard work and commitment from the group of dudes that I get to call co-workers. Have an incredible weekend. I mean, he owns it, and he comes out and says it, but, you know, the fact is, whether he likes it or not, anybody else likes it or not, there's a monetary trade-off in all of this. You get this massive salary, a lot of people are going to look in the direction of you getting the massive salary when all these talents are getting laid off. And by a lot of people's calculation, roughly 8 of them could have stayed on for your salary. So that's a thing. I would assume, and I don't think we've talked a lot about this, I did a video on the other sports channel yesterday. They let go of my favorite college NFL draft pundit and analyst, Todd McShay. One of the few guys I actually listened to, along with Daniel Jeremiah, with draft covers that I actually kind of trust and want to listen to and want to consume, and they let him go. I mean, I'm sure a lot of these guys will go join Fox Sports, and I get that, or join NBC, you know, like Pollock and McShay would be massive gets for a pregame show. But sure, a lot of people are going to look in the direction Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee. And to a lesser extent, they're going to look at Joe Buck and Troy Aikman too, because that's a combined about $30 million or $35 million a year on salary. Wow. ESPN actually had a high-rated show, and they took one of the best talents and got rid of it from that show. Pollock will land on his feet, but it's a horrible look for this network. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.